You've spent years dealing with fictional conspiracies. Now you are narrating real ones. Did Hollywood prepare you, or did Hollywood actually downplay how weird the world really is?
Hollywood doesn't really prepare you for anything, I don't think. Just life does. I'm interested in storytelling. So some of these declassified files are very interesting. It's very interesting to look back, with this remove where there's no longer danger around these certain things, and sometimes realize how close we came to disaster, but also how human the drive is. Usually very stupid things are done by very smart people who are trying to do good things, and
Yeah.
it's fascinating to look back and see kind of the very small human element to a lot of these stories that appear, of world importance, or could have been of world importance.
And nowadays we have almost the same thing, but we'll come to this. But
Yeah.
in this new series, you reveal some shocking things about governments around the world. Which one made you look at the script and go, okay, now that's insane, tell me more? Or something like, this should absolutely not be hidden from the public?
Well, I mean, there's no reason to hide these things from the public now, because that's the nature of declassifying documents, is to wait long enough so that the people involved are no longer alive, or, beyond kind of prosecution or persecution or blame or anything like that. And it's very interesting to look back on these kind of cold cases in a way, um, where what I'm always amazed by is, the proliferation and the almost use of nuclear weaponry, and the multiple times that we've come close to kind of mutually assured destruction, just by walking into an area where human error could just cause the end of the world, where misinterpretation. There's one episode that deals with a war game that the US was playing that the Soviets intercepted and thought it was a real one, and something like in Zero Dark 30, which was just not Zero Dark 30, the Catherine Bigelow movie that was out last year about nuclear war. Very similar thing, where at first, the whole movie hinges on whether or not this missile that they're tracking is a war game, or is it real, or all these kind of questions, and whether do you retaliate while you can, because if this lands you won't be able to retaliate and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's like the scenarios don't really change that much in a weird way.
Yeah, okay. And you're talking about this, you're a narrator, and narrating stories about these hidden global operations requires the right tone, right? What was the biggest challenge for you in shaping your narration style? Have you changed anything since the last series?
It's really kind of knowing the tenor of the piece, knowing the tone of the piece. Like, I think we talked about the events that had been part of the movie Argo from a few years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
that movie has a kind of an interesting tone because it's talking about very serious world important events, but it's also jokey. It's also humorous because there's human frailty involved and human deception involved. So just try to strike the tone of, well, this could have led to the deaths of millions of people, but it's also ridiculously funny in some weird way. So you kind of have to strike a balance and just know what you're talking about, you know.
Okay. And do you believe documentaries like this can influence how people view authorities or government agencies?
Well, I don't want to be one that stokes kind of conspiratorial thinking. Obviously there are things that governments do in secret because they're trying to, you know, get the jump on other governments. They don't So I'm sure that there are secrets, and I'm sure, there are conspiracies, but not in the way that we have come to believe in them. We see conspiracies everywhere now. And in my experience, I've never even met two people that can keep a secret. So if you're telling me that, the moon landing was faked, this is not a conspiracy. This is not a possibility. That the Earth isn't round. This is not a conspiracy. This is not a question. Things like this. It's just very distressing that we live in a world where fact has been debased to the extent that we see conspiracies everywhere. These happen to be true stories. They're not conspiracies. They're things that the government tried to do. Some of it was in secret. That doesn't necessarily make it a conspiracy.
Yeah, exactly. And you tell the stories from the past, but as you said, nowadays it's pretty similar. And we are days after, for example, Donald Trump's global threatening statements. And after that, sudden US and Iran 2-week ceasefire announcement. What do you think, watching such dramatic swings from apocalyptic warnings to sudden de-escalation?
I think he's a shameful leader.
Is there any conspiracy behind that?
No.
So
No.
it's a simple thing.
Yeah, the world is being run by a sixth grader.
Well, okay. In this series, you talk as well as about paranormal activities or aliens. Let's call it like that. Do you believe governments actually know more about aliens than they admit publicly, or maybe?
I have no idea.
Okay, but because maybe it's the secrecy, it's a convenient narrative we all enjoy believing. What do you think about that?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so let's say you get access to one classified files of any country in the world. Which one are you choosing?
I don't want to do hypotheticals like that.
No, maybe Poland. I know your grandmother was born in Warsaw.
That's your answer. Good.
Okay, but speaking about your roots, did you ever make you curious to explore the place yourself? I'm talking about Poland.
I've been to Poland. I played music in Poland about
I know,
7 or 8 years
2019.
ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you like it?
I wasn't there long enough to really get a sense. I visited Treblinka outside of Warsaw, which was fascinating and horrible and educational. I'd like to come back at some point. Yeah.
Oh, great. We invite you always. And of course, I have to say that the fans in Poland, including me, of course, grew up watching you in the X-Files. And do you feel that this new series taps into the same curiosity and cultural fascination that made this show, the X-Files, so iconic?
What are you asking me about? I'm not sure I understand the question.
Is this new series you made now, this real one?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just it's a completely different thing. These are declassified actual files. The X-Files is a work of fiction.
Yeah, but the people like it as well as they liked the X-Files. So maybe
it's about this. So.
Yeah, it's about this curiosity that we have about this thing that we don't know.
I think that's true. Yeah.
Okay. If I can, I will say something more about the X-Files because people still love.
Why don't we stop talking about the X-Files and talk about this?
Yeah, but it's connected, and we are.
No, it's not connected. It's not connected. You're connecting it. It's not connected.
Okay, but you've been talking about aliens and paranormal activities for.
I haven't been talking about it. I was on a show that.
Yeah, you've been on a show, but there are some episodes.
Personally, yeah. I'm not talking about it. No, I don't talk about it. But you're drawing the connection to the X-Files. This is a completely separate thing. Okay, these are actually declassified documents.
But I'm wondering, because it's a heavy global topics that you're talking about in the show. So after diving into such a heavy topics, what's the first thing you do to unwind?
I don't need to unwind. I have very rich mental life. I don't need to run away from it. These are things that I'm interested in. I'm interested in human nature and storytelling. I'm interested in stories. I'm interested in history. So I don't need to unwind from any of that. That's my life.
Okay, so if you can say something to Polish audience and viewers, why it's so important or why we should watch the new series?
I don't know. I don't know that it's important. I just think that it's very interesting to watch the machinations of governments and of people behind the scenes, and that here we are, however many years after most of these incidents, where it's time to declassify them, where no one can get hurt or no one can get prosecuted in a certain way. It's just very interesting to see these particular stories and to see the human frailty, human imagination, to see the human need to gain control, to lose control, all these things. It's just human nature playing out in these stories, and I find that fascinating.
Okay, and for you, what's the most important thing during shooting?
Most important thing, excuse me, what?
What for you? What was the most important thing as a person, as an actor, as a human being? After this, when you know about these unclassified things, what was the most important thing for you that you keep with you after that?
I don't know. I don't know. I think I've answered the question, and that what I get always is that these are flawed human beings trying to, in most cases, do the best they can or do what they think is the right thing. And the extent to which people will do the wrong thing in order to achieve the right thing is shocking, heartbreaking, and sometimes comical.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I
All right,
think
thank you.
we have everything, and of course, I hope we'll see you in Poland in
I
the
would love
nearest
that.
future.
I would love that.